Hey everybody, this is Doug with Artfully Rogue, and you are going to come along on the journey with me and raise the roof on my bus. I've had this bus for now 4 or 5 years, and I've wanted to raise the roof, but for whatever reason it's been a back burner project, and now it's a necessity. I need to get into this bus as soon as I can, and so we're going to raise the roof. We've done a lot of the prep work on it already. It's already jacked and it's leveled. We'll kind of go over that in the video here in just a little bit. And we're starting to remove the windows, and then we'll place the jacking mechanisms where they need to be, and we'll start cutting this bus apart. Here we go. Okay, so it's about 10 o'clock in the morning. We've been going at it for about 4 hours, basically getting everything prepped and ready for the roof to lift. I'm gonna walk you through in detail what we've did to this part before we actually start cutting into the bus so that we can raise the roof. Okay, first and foremost, we leveled the bus. All right, you want to take all of the spring out of the bus. Take the weight of the bus off of the tire suspension. And by doing that, you ensure that your roof raise is going to go up nice and even. And so here's what we did. We started with the back of the bus, and we jacked up the back of the bus, and then we put in 2 levelers right in the back. All right, now with my parking lot, it slopes from the left down and then kind of creates a little bit of a bowl here. So the left side of our bus had to go up slightly higher so that it would make the bus level. Now, we then went to the front of the bus. Now this is key and really kind of dependent on the type of bus you are trying to lift. So my engine is actually in the dog box, which is right up in here, okay, where that box is sitting. That's my engine. So my engine sits right in this area. If I start to cut this support right here in the top, let me see if I get my finger in there, come up from here. If I start to cut the support over, there's a potential, because it sits ahead of the tire, that this entire front end could go clunk just like this. You want to avoid that. So I put 2 blocks right here on the front bumper, which is also tied into the main chassis. But then I also have 2 more supports pretty much right near the engine. So when I make that cut, it's not going to drop forward. And if it does, it's going to be very, very minimal. So once you have yourself stabilized, start working your way into the bus. Obviously, you want to try to clear out as much as you can, give yourself a clean working space. You want to remove all of your windows, okay? And then walk through in your mind exactly where you're going to be cutting. Now, I apologize in advance for the lighting because I'm inside the bus, I'm outside the bus. But as you can see, this wiring harness, which was coming from the front of the bus, all right, and going towards the back of the bus, would have posed a problem as this thing is being lifted. Now, I'm colorblind, so I actually cut all the lines and marked them with numbers. That way I know exactly where they're going to be. Now, for my particular situation, I'm cutting on this side of the brace, so this is going to stay intact, but this will actually be a bit loose. I'll get to that, why I did that later. All right, so I'm going to be cutting right along that seam all the way over. All right, that's the front of my bus. Okay, so all the way from this edge straight up and over. All right, that takes care of the front half top section of the bus. So then they're going to come back and I'm going to start cutting each one of these supports. Now, one of the things that I did to make it a little bit easier is I actually made a jig, basically that fits right over. I can draw my line, and I know that all my lines are pretty darn close to the same. So now that I got my lines all positioned, now I want to make sure that I put in my supports. Now, this was the very first one that I chopped out the hat channel because I was trying to duplicate the hat channel. So I took out a chunk, which I will put back in. But as you can see, I put in a piece of 1 inch, let me see if I can get over here, and a piece of 3/16, which was welded onto that. And if I can come out of here, tripping on cords. Okay, so that is going inside the hat channel. Okay, and I clamped it here at the lower side. Now, you want to make sure that you cut all 4 corners. So here, also back there, and back there. So you want to cut the hat channel on that first. Then you want to put your interior support inside that hat channel. Make sure you get it clamped. So what that's going to do is you raise the bus. This hat channel basically rides up along this interior support, and it keeps your bus from going side to side. Next, and this is key, this is the secret to maintaining a safe and stabilized lift. I manufactured these brackets. All right, this is 1 inch all thread. All right, and this is just a piece of pipe that goes right over that all thread with a piece of rectangular tubing welded to that pipe, and then you weld that to the hat channel of your bus. All right, now let's make a quick note here. Before you do any welding on your bus whatsoever, make sure that you disconnect the battery because you will fry that sucker. So weld your bracket into the bottom of the hat channel. Make sure your nut is right above that bracket. All right, then you want to go up to the top section. Do the exact same thing. All right, weld your bracket to the bus. Keep your nut under this one. We are using 4x4 supports on the back and the front of the bus, and as you can see, we are clamping them to the bus, and it goes straight across to the other side. Now we're using a 2x4 that we screwed in to a 4x4 that then goes down to a 20-ton jack. Now what you can't see on that 4x4 is we took a Forester bit, we drilled a small hole. That way the jack will not walk anywhere. It can't slip out because it's in a hole up underneath that 4x4. And we also put a decent sized plate so that we could actually start the lift. Keep in mind, I'm going up 16 inches, so I'm going to need 16 inches of lift. So at some point, we're going to have to add more blocks underneath this jack. So we put the rear jack point as close to the rear of the bus as possible. And we put the front jack point as close to the front of the bus as possible. Now again, mine's a short bus, so if you have a longer bus, you may want to try using 3. We did a 40-foot 2 years ago, and we just used the 2 points, and it actually worked fine. Next, you want to go through and just mentally walk through the process of cutting and where you're going to cut and what's going to happen each time you cut. Where are those pieces going to go? When you start to raise, what's going to happen? Follow your wiring. You know, because I got wiring in here. Now I got some loose. I definitely don't have 16 inches of extra wiring there. So once this comes up off the bus, we'll have to cut that and get that prepared and ready. Now the back of my bus is a little bit trickier. And I'll get to the detail on that. But we're going to be cutting right up underneath that drip edge and then separating the left side of the door from the top of the door, so that my door top stays intact size-wise. Now we also have a wheelchair lift here, And so that shouldn't affect our lift at all, because also we're going to be chopping off that corner, coming through here, chopping off that corner. And what that does is that separates the bus top from the bus body as a whole. Everything's in place. We make sure that everything's either screwed into place or clamped into place, because you definitely don't want anything slipping on you when you start to do this process. You want to take it nice and slow, nice and steady. But I think we're ready. Okay, so we have our 16-inch lift. All right, you can see that we have the new hat channel filling the space between the old hat channel, and inside that hat channel is that 3/16 flat and 1-inch square tubing that goes all the way through the old and the new hat channel. Now, we did that mainly as guides, but also as internal support. Well, there you go. The bus roof raise. We're 16 inches higher than we were 2 days ago, and the next video is going to show how we're closing that whole bus back up again. I'm not sure when that video will be posted, but we're going to do the best we can to get it as closed as quickly as possible. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. It is greatly appreciated. If you have any comments, leave those down below, and if you haven't subscribed, please do so now. We'll see you in the next video.